Forever she's hidden in the tussock.
Hello everyone, I'm Nikki from The Next Big Thing and Jeff and the Angry Stick. And I'm interviewing the people behind the music who are coming to Wada Rapper to help to do our events that we're doing. And we're now on to the 15th of July. We had a really good time on the 24th of June. It was a really good night, and now we're really looking forward to this next one. So today I am interviewing Ali from Lost Bird. So hello Ali, how are you?
Yeah, good. Kia ora. How are you going?
Kia ora, I'm good. The last time I saw you was a number of years ago, and it was at the Glastonbury Festival. You've done absolutely heaps since then. So how's it going for Lost Bird?
Yeah, well, heaps of life probably. Not heaps of. Well, I've almost done as many gigs in my kids' daycare as I have to grown people. So yeah, but going all right. Yeah, I'm like having I don't know what it is, a Phoenix from the Flames year this year. So trying to get back into things. And I used to play in a duo with a guy called Oliver, and he's moved away to Gisborne now. So I'm solo under the name Lost Bird. But yeah, one day it'll be. It's always like the intent of it sort of sounding like a band, and I reckon like a band.
I think that's what we do. We rebuild, don't we?
Yeah.
Why we chose the phoenix coming out of the fire for our imagery, our design.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've had a really tough time, I think, musicians over the last couple of years with COVID and the mandates. It's really made it hard on top of everything else. And so that imagery there, the phoenix out of the fire, is pretty. I feel that that's what we're doing right now. So
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
so I think a lot of us are rebuilding. Spank fell apart. My band that was at Glastonbury with you guys, because of COVID. So like we now re-establishing as like yourself as another band. So are you hoping to sort of build it up and then start gigging again? Is that a plan?
Yeah. So as of February this year, a friend of mine challenged me to start writing a song a week for a year. So I've been doing that. So I've kind of up to 23 songs now, and it means that obviously, like, yeah, it's fun and nerve-wracking to gig. So it's nerve-wracking to gig because it's been a wee while since I was on the horse, so to speak. But it's also nerve-wracking because almost every gig I'm just rolling out like new songs that I've never played before. So not only like am I going to mess them up, but also do people like them? Yeah. So but it's quite cool to like be getting out of the comfort zone again. Yeah.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? And I had a big sort of dearth. I write like the lyrics and the melodies in our band, so I had a spell for 3 years where I had nothing in me anymore. It's quite hard, isn't it? You think.
Yeah. I'm a bit scared about that happening. Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah.
We've got a new team. When you get a new team of people, you get a new energy, and I think that. And also, I got recently diagnosed with ADHD, so when I got my medication, that was a big life changer. I actually
Yeah.
started writing music again, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, wicked. Cool.
So so when you came to Glastonbury, there was you and Oliver, and it was quite like, well, how would you describe your music to people watching at home?
Yeah, kind of folky country. Yeah, folky country stuff. He was he's a fiddle player, and so I write depressing songs, and then his fiddle lifted them up a little bit. Now without them, I don't know. I've still got a sense of humor, so I always chuck in a couple of like kind of funnier songs, but yeah, all kind of introspective-y stuff. Yeah.
I think that's where our songwriting comes from. When you even the funny songs that we used to write were really like they were a double-edged sword. I would say the humor was covering up the deeper meaning.
Yeah.
Somebody told me once actually. There's like, why don't you put more of yourself into your songs? And I was like, if you actually listen to them, there's quite a lot of me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's true.
And so interesting. I mean, like everybody said that the Smiths songs were miserable, but actually, if you listen to them, they're actually not that miserable.
Yeah.
He was a big influence for me. Coming to that, what sort of influences do you have?
Oh yeah, a good question. And actually, same really. Like I grew up listening to folky acousticy stuff, anyway, and Dylan and the lyricists, like, so really good lyricists, so Leonard Cohen, Bob Dylan, and then Bright Eyes, so a guy called Conor Oberst and Bright Eyes, um like, and Damien Rice as well, are kind of guess shaped like how I sing, because I used to think that I couldn't sing, so I sort of got into songwriting as like, oh, I'll just do this for myself, really. And really started off almost talk singing. But yeah, but yeah, like kind of melancholy music, because I sort of kind of a highly sensitive person who was always experiencing the world in that way. If I was happy, like, I just, if I was happy, yeah, I might listen to happy music, but I certainly wouldn't write it, because I'm out enjoying life.
Yeah.
And I always find it hard. Yeah, I don't know, something about sadness and beauty and sadness and being interchangeable, and like that was definitely a lot of the inspo that wasn't musical, really, like into the words. So how I was experiencing the world, like very influenced by the weather for some reason in every lyric I write.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I'm like a sky person, so the sky, I always seem to mention the sky.
Yeah. Almost every song I write at the moment is starting off with like the first verse is just an entire description of the weather or whatever the day is doing. Yeah.
It's quite cool because I think that does influence you quite a lot. I mean, I'm always miserable when it's raining, and it's cold and damp.
Yeah.
When the sun comes out, it's a happy day, and I think, I'm a bit like you. I experience things like that, and they do affect my mood.
Yeah.
And there was a point you were saying there about I can't remember what it was. We have to ask another question now. So you've had some pretty big moments over the last couple of years, eh? I was reading an article about you opening for Ed Sheeran.
Yeah. Not like the thing I'm careful to say is it's sort of not through artistic merit, really. Yes, I used to gig in the UK. It's 13 years ago. I moved to New Zealand, but before that I gigged in the UK, and I gigged with a very young ginger singer-songwriter when he was first starting out, and then the last ever gig I did in the UK was with him just before he got famous. So yeah, we're sort of old friends, really, which sounds bizarre now, I suppose, like to a lot of people that know me. But yeah, and then I never asked anything of him as well, and it was just really nice. One day, I got an email from his manager saying, "Oh, this will probably come as a bolt from the blue, but we were just looking at who would open for Auckland shows, and Ed was wondering if you wanted to do it." I was like, "Yeah, you can't say no." So yeah, but it's scary. Yeah.
So yeah, I was just going to ask you, what was it like being in a big stadium like that and being on that stage? Because like we did the balloon festival here at the showgrounds, and there was 6,000, and that was big.
Yeah.
Felt like we were Kiss.
Yeah. It it was definitely, I mean, it was exciting and scary. I've had a lot, like, I've been thinking about it recently, actually, and seeing what Lewis Capaldi's kind of going through at the moment. And I just think it was really hard to adjust from, like, just for even for 3 days in the stadium, it was really hard to adjust from playing very small gigs to suddenly playing a stadium. Obviously you don't have any of the setup. I didn't have any monitors. I didn't have anything, didn't have my own sound guy or anything. So it's a bit scary because of like unpreparedness. But also, like, yeah, I could see how, like, my body was almost in a permanent state of nervousness for those 3 days, and it's sort of unsustainable. But it was thrilling and exciting and amazing, and in a way reassuring that I talk a lot to the audience in between songs, and I was sort of worried how that would translate to that sort of size of a gig. But you sort of end up just talking to the people that are just in front, and then every now and again checking the backs and the sides. Yeah. It's 5 years ago now, so like, yeah, almost a distant memory, but yeah.
Surreal, probably, eh? Because like I think back to that like one gig we did at the showgrounds here, and there's 6,000 only 6,000 in the stadium, but it was surreal, it was surreal.
Cool feeling, eh? Yeah.
A bit of a bigger stage than, like, usually as an original musician you're playing to like between 50 and 100 people max.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and to do that was pretty. I mean, we all had a great time doing that.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, cool. And so, what have you got planned for us? a week today.
Yeah, well, definitely a bunch of new songs.
Awesome.
And yeah, a mix of stuff that I'll be well rehearsed on and some other stuff. But I've got to 23 songs now, and the idea is that I'll get to 52 and then pick 12 to make a record with. So by now I should have about 5 or 6 that I kind of like, and I definitely have got that many. So yeah, so kind of, but yeah, wintry songs probably fitting with the vibe at the moment. Wintry songs, and then I've got one silly funny song that I play every gig that I won't spoil the surprise now and talk about it, except that every gig I ever do, I write 7 or 8 songs that are all about like from the heart and raw emotion or whatever. And then I've got this silly song, and everybody's like, "I love that song." And I'm like, "What about the other 7 that are like real?" You know. So yeah, it's
We
always
had a
everybody's
song like
favorite
that when
song.
we first started out as Spank. We wrote a song called Cheese, right? And everybody loves it. And the band
Yeah,
got to the stage where we couldn't stand it anymore, like, but people would ask for it at gigs. So we decided to make it interesting that we'd never rehearse it, and if they asked for it, we'd just play it however it went on the day.
yeah, yeah,
So like, yeah, it was a bit, and we you hear about bands like Led Zeppelin who did Stairway to Heaven, and they hated that song, because
yeah,
everybody loved it. That was ours. Ours was
yeah,
Cheese.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it something about not having pressure when you write the song? Like if you write it so relaxed because you're like, this is just never going to be a real song. I'll probably never gig this. It's so silly, and then you end up playing it one time and people love it, and you're like, oh, I have to do this all the time now.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like the state of just zero self-imposed pressure on it, whereas everything else you're like, I've got to get this detail right of this lyric right. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. And people be like, oh yeah, well that's it. I'm a designer as well. I'm a graphic designer, and they always like the really cheesy design. You give them 3 options, and they always pick the really rubbish one. And you're like, oh,
yeah,
I want you to pick that one. Don't pick that one. And I think
yeah,
that's probably what it is. It's mass appeal, and yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Have you had a look at the lineup? Because there's quite a lot coming from Wellington this time.
Yeah, not heaps of looking, and I'm just emerging back onto the music scene now.
Yeah.
Although, and I know she's not on the lineup, but somebody who popped onto my Spotify is I think from around your area, which is I've forgotten her name now. Mitchell, Jenny Mitchell, is it? Yeah, Jenny Mitchell.
Oh, I don't
Um,
know.
but I think she's a singer-songwriter from around that Carterton way, actually. But yeah, but so yeah, emerging music that I'm really keen to hear, really. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's quite a few interesting people on the lineup this time. Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was just doing a page on the website for the lineup because this is an agile event.
yeah, yeah,
Started like we threw it together, and it's been fast, and so I'm like catching up with all the marketing in the background, and I saw in this night together, and I was thinking this is a really 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 good night, and there's some really good people on, and it's
awesome.
fun. I can't wait to see you again. Actually,
Oh,
I
cool.
really enjoyed your performance. I was on that acoustic stage, I think, with Greg Bailey.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been
It
trying to
was
get
a
hold of
nice
him. But
vibe.
he's between here and Auckland at the moment, but he's a good artist too, a good local,
Yeah.
good singer-songwriter, got some interesting lyrics. So that was what I was going to ask before. It's come back to me now. So are you more focused on the music or the lyrics, or is it a mix of both?
Yeah. Well, it was always born out of lyrics, and it was always born out of expression. So never really cared about. I was writing cathartically and like trying to be poetic and trying to be not cliche, basically. And that's what it's been for many many years. In this sort of challenge this year of writing a song a week, I've really tried to focus a bit more on thinking about a melody and experimenting and stuff. So yeah, definitely trying to focus on like making things actually like kind of almost catchy, I suppose. Like I'm trying to make them, yeah, so that people want to listen to them more a bit. But yeah, I often like, even if I kind of write a poppy verse and a chorus, like I have a tendency to like destroy whatever made it poppy and change the lyrics so they're really difficult to remember. So I've been trying to like nullify that impulse and just let it be what it is sometimes. So yeah.
We can get hypercritical and really perfectionist on these things sometimes.
Yeah. I'm definitely not a perfectionist. That's the one thing I'd say is like, yeah. And that's what's nice about this challenge as well. I write the song and it's all done by a Sunday, and I'm just like, I don't think about it. And then it's only when you listen back to them, they kind of grow in the weeks following anyway. So yeah.
We had a band come and stay with us. Sometimes we get some bands coming from overseas and they stay with us over here. And we had a band called Yasarian come from UK. And I remember he was he reminded me a little bit of Morrissey, the lead singer. And we were having a conversation. He was like, "Oh, you should let the song breathe a little bit." And so I've been like simplifying my lyrics almost, letting the band have a bit more, which was quite an interesting thing. And you learn quite a lot of other musicians.
Yeah, totally. That's actually what I'd like to do more is collaborate more. And yeah, maybe the beginning part of that is getting back into the scenes and finding other acts. Yeah.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? You need to get back into those venues and find the track
Yeah.
musicians again. It's quite hard, isn't it? I think and we haven't even got a venue here, so like it's been quite difficult in Wider Dapper. This is what we're trying to establish.
Yeah.
Bringing people into our space again to sort of motivate the scene. So,
Yeah.
So whereabouts in the UK are you from?
Yeah. North Yorkshire.
No, oh,
Where are you from?
where I'm from. I'm
Yeah.
from Lancashire. So whereabouts?
Whereabouts?
Hey.
Whereabouts in Lancashire?
Oh well, actually, I was born in Lancashire, but it went to Merseyside, so I'm from St Helens. So
Yeah. Where were you born in Lancashire though?
hey,
Where were you born in Lancashire?
St Helens.
St Helens. Oh, okay, cool, yeah.
It was
Yeah,
Lancashire when I was born, and they moved the border, and everybody got really upset.
oh, right, I see. Yeah.
So they always wore the red rose of Lancashire. Went back to Lancashire. There was a campaign back to
Funny.
Lancashire. We all wanted to be back in Lancashire, So I'm
Oh,
a Lancashire.
great.
I was born in
Yeah.
Lancashire. Yeah. So whereabouts in Yorkshire are you from?
Yeah, a little village called Osmotherley, but yeah, my old man's from Barrow in Furness in Lancashire, in real
I've been
Lancashire.
to
Yeah. Barrow, yeah. But yeah, a little village called Osmotherley, just inside the North York Moors, and yeah, so countryside. Yeah.
Nice. So did I suppose like there's quite a lot of sort of music around that northern area.
Yeah, so I studied in Leeds, and Leeds had an amazing. I mean, I took it for granted in a way, and it's only looking back on it I've realized this, but it had a massive music scene of like really nurturing. Like there's Leeds Music Scene Forum, which is a website that everybody went to, and everybody talked about other bands and this band's on, and so they were kicking out Kaiser Chiefs, Cribs, like some really good Leeds bands making it national and making it international around that time. Yeah. And then I grew up an hour's drive away from there, so I studied in Leeds and played lots of gigs and started playing there, but I'd drive back home to North Yorkshire, stand at my bedroom window in their family home, and you'd see clouds going across the moors in the distance, and that was where I'd write. And so it was that kind of like it's seemingly fast pace at the time in Leeds to coming back home to like introspection to writing, and yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of stuff come out of the northwest. I mean, I grew up in St Helens. Down the road was Wigan, where we had the Verve, and
Oh, cool. Yeah.
the Manchester sound.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Happy Mondays when
Yeah.
51, they were like Happy Mondays and all that stuff was happening.
Yeah.
That whole indie scene, and that was a big influence on my music. And the Smiths were my biggest influence ever.
Yeah, awesome. Cool.
It's quite funny because my youngest child now is throwing that back out at me on the school run. He's putting all the Smith songs on and saying, "This."
Oh, wicked.
Yeah, so it's what goes around comes around, really.
That feels like successful parenting.
It does when they learn to say, "That's cool." It's like, "Oh, that's cool." Although my husband's not, he don't like them so much.
I'm at the point. I'm at the point now where I'm writing a song, and then I'm saying to my boy, "Oh, do you want to listen to my new song that I've just recorded?" And he goes, "No, Ed Sheeran. No, he wants to listen to Ed. He always wants to listen to Ed." I was like, cut to the bone. Yeah,
Yeah, my kids used to take the mick out of our songs. Eh? I was like,
yeah,
but they actually quite like the new stuff because they're old enough to appreciate it now.
yeah,
My
yeah.
youngest is 16, so they're and my oldest is in the band. My oldest is now our guitar player, so
Brilliant.
that's a success story in itself.
Yeah,
Eh?
awesome.
Cool. So I'm looking forward to that. So my last question is, how important do you think it is for there to be a venue in every area?
Yeah, really important. And yeah, I've only just started getting back into playing again after COVID. But I think about when you ask that question, I think about headed out to Hawke's Bay post cyclone actually. And what's the small venue there? The something lounge.
Is
Um,
it the common room? No, it's not.
no, but they've got a beautiful small venue, sofas, books on the wall, lamps, lava lamps everywhere, and saw tiny ruins there. And it's just like if it's hard to be a musician in New Zealand, but there's a possibility of a tour, and especially in rural places, lots of people that want to see music, and it doesn't diminish. And especially now with the way the world's moving, like I think you're getting more people able to work from home, more people moving to those places. So yeah, it's about time kind of culture caught up. So yeah, really super important, and would love a great venue to come over the hill to and drink a bit of wine.
Yeah, so many Wellington bands want to stop off here, and that's been
Yeah,
a
yeah,
big thing for us. And especially they've supported us in this event that we've thrown together really fast.
yeah,
Anyway, I'm running out of time. This is a Zoom call, and they give me 40 minutes.
yeah, yeah.
Talk to you all
Thank
day,
you.
Ali. But I'm really looking forward to catching up with you next week. And thanks for your time. Take
Thank you.
care.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Yes. What do you want to say to people before we sign off?
Oh yeah, you can I don't know, you can find Lost Bird on Spotify and listen to that music. Just turn the volume down to 0 and leave it playing overnight, and then I'll get some really small amounts of royalties. So yeah,
50 cents. 50 cents.
yeah, 50 cents for like probably a couple of days, like it'll be a week or so, wouldn't it?
All right.
Yeah,
I'll catch you next week, mate.
cool. Kakite.
Takite. Bye.
Good. Bye.